Okay, this is our daily study of Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, for those who have yahrzeit for tonight, the 14th of Iyar. Abraham Dorfman, Hyman Fishman, Sarah Scher, Israel Spack, and Jose Zepeda. May their memory be for a blessing. As always, a link to the text of the Mishnah will be in the first comment below. We are up to Chapter 2, Mishnah 2. Rabbi Gamliel Beno Shel Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi Omer, Rabbi Gamliel, the son of Rabbi Judah the Prince, says, Yafa Talmud Torah im derech eretz, shigias shnehem mishakachas avon. The study of Torah is good together with the way of the world. This is a message that we'll see from other rabbis too in Pirkei Avot. It's sort of a theme. Torah im derech eretz. The term derech eretz is a very general term. It means the way of the world, but it means that as Jews we have our life of Torah, but we don't just live in a ghetto and only absorb ourselves in our own ways. But you also have to be a part of the world and a good member of society. So Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch in the 1800s in Germany was sort of one of the founding ideological figures of what you might call modern orthodoxy. And he proposed, this was his slogan of his community, that we could be fully orthodox and fully observant while also being completely worldly and sophisticated and part of German society and so on and so forth. So that motto was Torah im derech eretz, Torah together with the ways of the regular outside world, so to speak. But in this context, the term derech eretz actually means a job, having an occupation. So it's good you have to find time to study Torah. There are always a certain elite, scholars who sit and study Torah all day and the community supports them. But probably the ideal for most people or the average person is to study Torah and have a regular job and find time to study Torah in your free time. This ends up getting into sort of the political situation, especially in Israel, where most ultra-Orthodox men only study Torah all day and are supported by the government. Now, their original reasoning for this was after the Holocaust, the world of Torah study was so decimated that it's sort of an emergency measure that we need to reconstitute the world of Torah scholarship. And so, you need to have a very large cadre of people sitting and studying. Now, I don't want to get into the debate, right, between, I myself fall more on the modern Orthodox side, as I sort of mentioned, the view of Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch and how to read these Mishnahs. But okay, so Yafa Talmud Torah im derech eretz, you should study Torah and have a worldly occupation. That's how it's translated here. Shegias shnehem mishakachas avon. Because how does it translate it here? Exertion in both causes sin to be forgotten. This is sort of an important lesson that if you have a job and you're studying Torah, right, people who are occupied and who are busy are going to be less prone to sin, because sort of boredom / poverty often leads to sin. So if you're sitting around with nothing to do, you're going to be up to no good, because you're going to need money, and then poverty leads to robbery. So you need to have integrity in a very busy schedule. You have to have a job and you have to study Torah, and then you'll be occupied with those good things, and you won't come to sin. And you'll be too tired to sin anyway. That's kind of how the Bartadura puts it. Kind of funny, and it's true. Okay. The Chol Torah she'eni ma malacha sofa b'telev goreres avon. Any Torah which does not have work with it will ultimately come to naught and causes sin. A very powerful statement, because most people are not cut out to be full-time Torah scholars. Some always were. The Gaon, the famous Vilna Gaon, Rabbi Elijah of Vilna, sat and studied Torah all day, and the community supported him because he was an incredible scholar. But for most people, if you try to do that, you don't have a proper job, your Torah will be forgotten anyway. You'll come to sin once again, because poverty, the commentaries say, poverty leads to robbery, and so on and so forth. Okay. And he says, "V'chol ha'amelim im hatzibor yiyu amelim imahem l'shem shamayim. Sheskus avosa mesaitam v'tzidkasam omeres la'ad. And all those who labor in public affairs, let them labor for the sake of heaven, for the merit of their fathers aid them, and their righteousness endures forever." Okay, so if you labor, and this is a very important lesson for a synagogue board, for example. Maybe I'll say this at the next board meeting. It's just always good to remind people who serve in public affairs. Your labor should be for the sake of heaven. Of course, that's how our board and our synagogue functions, and that's how every synagogue functions, right, when they're at their best. Now, why should your labor be for the sake of heaven and not for selfish reasons? Because the merit of their forefathers aids them, and their righteousness endures forever. So this is an interesting idea, that when you labor for the sake of heaven, the deceased founders of the synagogue, it's something nice to think about, or your ancestors who helped found the synagogue, This is my understanding of it. They're sort of watching for heaven, and they will come help you because you are working toward what they envisioned. It's a beautiful idea, right? If you're working for selfish reasons, you will not have that aid from heaven, from the souls of the founders and your forebears at the synagogue, because they'll look down and say, "That's not what I built the synagogue for. You know, you're in this for your own ego and your own aggrandizement, and so we're not going to use our heavenly power to help you." But if you're doing it l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, they'll look down with nachas and say, "All right, our souls are going to help you, and then you'll be able to accomplish your mission." Really beautiful idea. Okay, and their righteousness endures forever. You can always draw upon their power for all time now that their souls are immortalized. Really profound. V'atem mala ani alechem schar harbe kilu asisem. And then Rabbi Gamliel says, and as for you, speaking to the reader or whoever he originally orally taught this to, as for you, I accord to you a great reward as if you yourselves had carried it out. What he's saying is he's exhorting maybe he was the president, the Nasi, the president, the prince of the community. So he was very much involved in public affairs. So he's probably saying to his staff or his people or his underlings, and if you act this way, I consider it as if you accomplished all this, even though I just said your forefathers' souls are coming and helping you, but you still get the credit for it also. So kind of a nice lesson. Okay, with that, we can say the El Malay Rachamim for the art sites for tonight. El Malay Rachamim Shochein Bamiromim Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Al Kanfei HaShechina B'malos Kedoshim B'Tahorim Kizor Harakia Masirim Es Nishmos Kol Haskaros Shel Halayla Shel Chuli Olamam Ba'avur Shamispalim Bad Haskaras Nishmasam Began Eden Tehei Menuchasam Lachein Bal Harachamim Yastireim B'Seiser Kenafav Liolamim Yitzror B'Tzorach Hayim Es Nishmasam Adonai hu nachlasam yanuchol mishkavam b'shalom and omar amen. O God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper rest in the wings of your presence, in the exalted spheres of the holy and pure, who shine as the splendor of the firmament, to the souls of Abraham Dorfman, Hyman Fishman, Sarah Scher, Israel Spack, and Jose Zepeda, who have gone to their world and in whose memory we study and pray. May their resting place be in the Garden of Eden. Therefore may the merciful one shelter them in the shelter of his wings forever, bind his soul in the bond of life. Hashem is their heritage, may they rest in peace, and let us say Amen.